Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. It's G from Happiness and Crafting. So last week, last Sunday, we did these lovely journal cards. Now they were either journal cards or sort of like toppers for journals, whatever you like to use them for, and you loved them. But I had a few questions, so I thought I would pop on today and answer some of your questions. And I thought what I would do, I would make some paper clips. They are just beautiful. So they're nice, sort of like chunky, rusticy looking paper clips, and I love them. So some of the questions I got last week, or under the video from last week, was about the shadow and how I do things like that. So I'm just going to go through a few little things and make them, and maybe just explain a little bit better than I did last week. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to take another piece of paper. So these are just beautiful, really, really simple. I've done them sort of on the side on these ones like that, which are just gorgeous, aren't they? So take that off, and then I've done this yellow one. These are the smaller perfume bottles, and then I've got the yellow flower that comes in the kit as well, which is lovely. I've just changed the stamp a little bit. So we have this sort of like little triangle-y, gritty sort of one, which is quite nice. But I find my brown stays on? No, I can't. I don't know what I did with it last week. I popped it somewhere, so I've had to use black. So I'm just going to quickly make one of these. So I will pop the link of the video under this one, just in case you didn't see it, how I made this sort of like gesso-y paper, which is lovely because it was just leftovers from our making our altered book. So what should we do? What colour should we have? I quite like this one. Look at this one. Should we do this one? Shall I do it as a big one like this? So actually what I'm going to do, I'm just going to fold this in half if I can. This is quite thick and this is quite nice paper. Oh look, that didn't fold in half very well, did it? But that's okay. Let's just fold that over. Let's just fold that over. It's quite thick. I think maybe I should just use one which has got two. Probably not the best. Or maybe I'm going to use this one, I think, because this won't be as thick. But I want to cut this, do this in half, the same sort of thing. Let's put this in half like that. And then, shall we have it so the writing is in the right way? Okay. I'm going to pop that on. I don't think I need it as big as that. I'm going to just try and rip this down like this bit, because I don't need it that big. There we go. But what I do want to do, I just want to rip a little bit off here like I normally do, just to get that little lip, so it's easier to pop onto, oops, your pages. There we go. So then that lip, it just gives you a nice little lip there, and then we will pop our perfume bottle on there, and I'll just show you how I sort of like shade it just a little bit better than I probably did last week. Right, I'm going to take another piece of paper. Let's just fold this in half. I'm using coffee stain paper, but you can use anything. This is just to make the put the paper clip onto. I've got a nice big one here, so that's a good size, isn't it? Sorry if I'm moving all over the place. So let's just pop our paper clip on. Make sure we are in sort of the middle. That can go up like that. And then what I'm going to do, I'm going to just turn it over to do the bigger side first. And I'm going to get my 3-in-1. Let's just move these. Let's move these out of the way so I don't get glue and everything everywhere. I'm going to just glue this half. So did you guys make lots of gesso paper, book paper? Because it's so much fun. And it's just lovely to have in your stash. Let's just move that over like that. Stick that down. I'm using 3-in-1, but again, use tacky glue. Use whatever glue you have. It doesn't have to be 3-in-1. I'll pop the lid on that because I'll make a mess. I'm just going to tear this side down. There we go. And this bottom piece off, because we don't need that little bit that long. So that's the back. Turn that over, and I'm going to just rip this top piece. Make sure we don't rip it all off. There we go. So there we go. So that is your little paper clip. Now I'm going to just give it a little bit of an ink with my distress ink. So like this. So this is just generally how I make a paper clip. If you've seen my videos before, I've made these many times. They're a real good go-to paper clip. But these ones are a little bit more sort of chunky, you know, a bit more sort of like mixed media. So if you've got a nice sort of mixed media journal, these are absolutely perfect to go into. So that's that one. And I'm going to just glue this piece down like that. Let's just glue this top piece on. So again, making these without embellishing them is a great one to pop into your stash. There we go. Let's just stick that down. And then you've got that to embellish. So depending on what type of journal or what sort of like thing that you're making at the time, let's pop that over there. Oh, actually, I'm just going to ink this little bottom bit there. Okay. So another thing I want to quickly show you before I actually do anything on there is mixing up. Can you see? This is gesso and I've mixed ink into it. So I did mention it last week that you can add colour into gesso. Now this is my big pot of gesso, so I'm just going to take a little bit of gesso. Oops, let me pop the lid on. Let me just get a colour. I didn't get a colour, did I? So let's just use this muted green. Now this is the Liquitex ink, but you can add other inks to it. Just a little blob in there. Oops, put the lid on. Take this, look. Oh, I think that's probably a little bit too much, but let me just scrape that off. Look at that. So then that gives you your lovely, oh no, that's not bad, is it? It's gone in a little bit better. Lovely, lovely colour, isn't it? Look at that beautiful colour. I'm going to show you all that on some paper. This is the purple one I made. So it's just like making paint. I'm just going to do the other side. Can you see? Let me just pop that down there. Just scrape that on and you've got this beautiful colour. So whatever inks you're using, you can sort of like mute it down with a little bit of gesso and have beautiful, beautiful paints like that. So you can come up with all sorts of colours, and that is the pink. I just mix a little bit of this one with a muted violet. So you can mix any colours that you like and it just comes lovely. So I will use that later. I will pop some of that on some papers. So that's nice and messy. Now, which one was I going to use? This one. Well, maybe I will add... No, I'm going to ink it first. Let's just ink it. Or stamp it. Let's pop a little stamp on it. Like this. Just take a little one. Just going to stamp just a little bit. Let's pop that onto the back. Just gives it that extra little addition to your work. So that's the back, that's the front. I'm going to take a tiny bit of this because this is perfect colour, isn't it? Just add just a little bit like that, and because it's gesso, it really doesn't take very long to dry at all. So I'm going to ink just around our little perfume bottle like that, and then we are just going to, oopsie daisy, just going to stick it on there. I'm going to just use a little bit of tacky glue to do that, like this. So yes, I'm going to try and get some papers done for these bottles this week. It's not enough time in the day. I keep saying that, but so much I want to do. But I do want to get some papers for these, so I can make a little something or other, not necessarily a journal. I don't think I do too many journal. I think it's just the colours I would like to bring in for papers. Okay, so I do have some of my coloured pencils. This is my Stabilo. Now Stabilos are good for paper, glass, plastic, metal. They will write on anything, and they are fantastic, and they're also water soluble. These aren't Stabilo, these are just water pencils, but these are fabulous, and they come in all sorts of different colours. Let me just take these out. I do have some pastels, but I don't think I need those. Right, so when you're doing like a shadow from something on something, like I've done on these, I in general just sort of like put it down one side. It will sort of like be this side, or it will be this side, and that depends on, say your light is coming from this side, then this side is going to be dark. But if your light's coming from this side is going to be dark, because you'll have a shadow on it. So that's just a general rule of thumb on that. But obviously if it's coming from the back, then this front bit is all going to be dark. But you can put the shadow wherever you like. We're doing mixed media, we're not doing a perfect picture. So just pop a little bit just around the edges like that. You don't need too much. I've got a water brush. This is like it just fills up with water, and you've got a little brush on the end. You can pick them up in lots of different places, and they're very inexpensive. So just pop a little bit on. You don't need too much. You can always add, do you know what I mean? You can always add a little bit of colour, and that just gives you like a little sort of bit of depth to your work, so it's not sort of like just stuck on your page, on your picture, if you know what I mean. Gives it a little bit of, you know, like it's sitting on something, doesn't it? Like that. Now again, you can do both sides. A little bit of dark under it, like that is good. So just a bit of dark, see, it makes a big difference, doesn't it? I think it looks really good. And that's a brown, but you don't have to use that. You can use a brown pen, a brown watercolor pencil. Now I'm going to go in with this one. What's this one called? Shamrock Green. So last time I used the inks, so I'm just going to use, I know lots of you don't have the inks, so I'm just using watercolor pencils today. But obviously I did use the ink in the gesso, because obviously it's liquid, so that's easier, isn't it? So look at that, just beautiful. Just put the colour where you think the colour should be. There is no right or wrong way of doing any of this. Just put some colour, you know, in different places. Like that, nice, and it just looks so pretty. Bring it down. What other colour should we come in with? Should we go in with a little bit of this darker blue? This is Miconso, Conos blue, I don't know, something like that, something like that, a little bit darker. There we go. Look at that, a little bit down there, but it just looks so pretty, doesn't it? It looks lovely. And try not to do it too dark. Go in there a little bit lighter, and then add to it. So if you wanted to add a little bit more shadow, you can just go in like that. Just add a little bit more in there, like that, just so it's a little bit darker, and it just sort of like makes it sort of pop off the page just a little bit. You can sort of go in around these bits as well if you want to, if you find it needs a little bit going in, like that. just try. Just is a bit of sort of like trial and error, isn't it? Give it a go. If you've not done anything like this before, then just have a play. That's the main thing. Right, I'm going to turn this over, and I'm going to add just a little bit more of this lovely blue gesso. It's fabulous. Pop a little bit down there, just scrape it on. This is just like one of those little, these are really inexpensive. You can buy these all over the place. Just a little paint thingy-me-jiggity. Little bit of blue. I'm not very good at explaining, am I? But I will pop links under the video for them, so you can see what they're called, what they're properly called, and then take a look. And you might be able to get them in a, you know, a pound shop or anywhere, depending where you live. You can get some cheap ones off Amazon as well. I'll probably put an Amazon link on there because it's sort of like worldwide, isn't it? So then you know what you're looking for. Let's just, oops. There we go. So just put colour just anywhere like that. And that's a bit wet. But I was thinking I was going to pop a little flower on here somewhere. We've got some flowers in these perfume bits. That's pretty, isn't it? Maybe we'll just have a little white one. I think that one's a little bit too big on here. But we can just have a little white flower on there. Let's just pop a little bit of ink around here. Like that. A little bit of glue. So yeah, this is just a quick video today. Just a sort of, hopefully I explained it a little bit better than maybe last week. There we go. So make sure they're stuck down, and then all you want to do is just go round. Don't go round, you don't need to go around the whole thing, just sort of one side of it. And just add a little bit of water in there, and if you want it to not smudge, if you put this down and you want to add more colour to it, you can use matte medium, so you might already have some, and that will actually keep this in place. So this, you can use matte medium with your pencil, and when you go over it, it's not gonna move, it will stay put, so it won't smudge. But you just need a little bit, and I think maybe I'm going to just pop a little bit of yellow over here, just so it's a little bit brighter. I think just a little bit, mix that in. Perfect, look at that, it's lovely. Needs to dry a little bit, but look at that, so simple. And you can see here where it looks a little bit darker, so it's a little bit of shadow, so it doesn't look like it's just been plonked on the paper. You've got a little bit of depth in there to it, which I think are so pretty, which are lovely. So there we go. Got a blue one. Maybe shall we make another quick one? Shall we make another quick one? We got this. Shall we have a purple one? Now again, I'm going to use this paper because it's a little bit thinner. Oh look, we've got a nice big, we've got that little flower and that, oh those two go together. Let's do these two. Lovely purple one. I do like purple. So how much do we need? Let's, oh, I could make a, I think that's probably a bit too big. Let's go there. Let's just bend that like that. Pop that on. Lovely. Let's do that, shall we? Move these out of the way so we have a little bit of room. Let's just tear this off. where do we put that one? Let's just, needs to go up there because I need to tear just a little bit more off. Let's just take this because it's, we don't want it too wide, do we? Then I'm going to just tear a little bit off the bottom, say about that much. There we go. Doesn't have to be nice and neat and tidy, so that will go on the front. Where's our little flower? And then our little flower can go on the back. That's perfect. Let's get our ink. Pop that down. Let's move these bits out of the way. A little bit of ink. Again, use different colour ink if you've got different colour. You don't have to use the vintage photo, which I always use. So let's just pop that on like that. So again, if you've only got like a little watercolour palette, you add the colour with watercolour. That's exactly the same as just the pencils. They do the same thing like that. Pop that down. Oh, let's just add just a tiny bit on here. Oh, one of you lovely ladies actually said if you were making a journal or these cards to spray them with some perfume. Wouldn't that be fabulous if you gave somebody a lovely little card or something with this on the front, and it's, you've got like a fragrance on there? I think that would be beautiful. Or you could have a little bit of lavender on there, or so it's, you've got some sort of smell on there. Wouldn't that be lovely? I thought that was just a fab idea. I really liked that idea. Okay, so that will fit, won't it? Should we pop that in? Right, I need a paper clip. These are about 1 inch, I think, these paper clips. Oh, no, they're about 1.5 inches. They're nice big ones. So you want quite a big one to go in there. Right, let's just pop that over just a little bit. I'm going to do it from the back first. So let's just glue this back piece. Like that. So it's just another way of using up some of these lovely book papers, isn't it? Because they are just fab. Just love them. Put the lid on. Let's push that in. I quite like these because they are sort of a bit chunky, aren't they? Nice big chunky ones. That's stuck down. Okay, perfect. Now I'm going to take this, rip this bit down the side. Now again, you don't have to rip, you can cut. I'm just ripping with this because I want that sort of rusticy sort of look to it. And then I want to just take this little piece and tear that off. So this is the piece we need to stick on. Pop it on this side, like that. Lovely. Nice bit of sticky glue. Right, let me quickly pop the lid on because this just oozes out. Just oozes everywhere. Perfect. Perfect, perfect. Let's just ink in this little bit. Lovely. Lovely, lovely. So pop that on. Shall we have a little bit of the purple gesso? Actually, I need a piece of this. Let me just try and wipe the blue off. Oops. Just a tiny bit of this down there, look. Just on that top bit. Lovely, that's what I'm going to do. And then we are going to stick that onto here with a little bit. This is just because it's paper to paper, you just need your tacky glue on here. So you don't need a lot to do these. You will probably have most of it in your craft room, or if you're new, you just need, you've got books, you don't necessarily need to use gesso, you can use a little bit of white paint. It doesn't have to cost too much because you can buy all of this in kids supplies, are quite cheap as well. Not always, but they are quite cheap. So again, we're going to pop the shadow, and we're going to pop the shadow along the bottom like this, just to make this pop off the page just a little bit. Because if you left it like that, it looks quite flat, doesn't it? But when you add just a little bit darker, you don't have to use brown, you can use black if you want to. Oops. Or if you don't have watercolor pens, just use a pen, just shade it, you can shade it in. But I think that just makes it just sort of like, gives it that little bit of depth on there, doesn't it? Oops, stuck to everything. Let's just go in, and then again you can just go tiny bit darker in there, like that. So try and just do it from one side. You don't want to do the whole thing around it, just sort of like this side, or you could do this side, just not all of it, so then it gives it that little lift at the corner. Right, shall we add a little bit of purple? Here's a purple. What's this one? Eggplant. Let's just add a little bit of this up here. So I did have these, didn't I? These are some chalks, and these are water soluble as well. I haven't had these for ages. Let me just add a little bit of that. That's quite dark, isn't it? Oopsie daisy. But we can use these because they are soluble with water as well. So these are fabulous. And it all gives you, you can see, it just gives you that little bit different texture. So if you like mixed media in that, gradually build up with different supplies. It doesn't all have to be done in one go. There's a little bit of pink here. If I remember, I will link these down as well so you can have a look. So just sort of like little sections. You don't have to do the whole thing in one colour. Just do a little section of colour, and then another little section, but try and sort of like blend them in. Don't do sort of like a green and then a purple and then try and blend them in, because you're going to end up with a big mushy mess and it will look dirty. So sort of like get the pinks or the blues, or you know, the same sort of like colour family to do it. But look at that, that just looks so pretty, I think. Right, shall we turn over? I'm going to just use a little bit of this on there. Let's just get some water out. So just add a little section of that, and then I'm going to take a little bit of this purple gesso and add that in. I can add that on top of here as well. Don't be afraid to sort of like mix them together. As long as they're sort of like water soluble, they will mix lovely. And then what should we do? I didn't stamp on this one, did I? But that's okay. Let's go in there. So these are lovely purples, aren't they? Okay, I'm just going to quickly, this one's quite wet, so I'm just going to quickly pop my heat gun on it for a second. Okay, perfect, because we want to stick our lovely little flower. Now, which way do you think he goes? Like that, didn't he, on there? Or was it like that? I think it's like that. So let's just pop him on. Fabulous. Actually, I think I can stamp on that. I'm going to stamp on it. I think it just needs a little bit. And again, this is stays on. And stays on ink stays on. As it says, it's an means that you can solvent base, so it will dry and it won't, when you put water soluble products on it, it won't smudge, which is fabulous. And I've always used stays on. I've never tried other ones because I like the stays on one. I think it's great. I think it's great. And when you have something that you really like, I don't use it huge amount, so they last me for ages. And another tip, I always put the date on the back. Look, that's January 2001 and it's still going. It shows how much I use it, but I always put it so it's face down like that, so all the ink goes to the top of the pad. But I generally put the date on there so I know when I've purchased them. I do have a couple of them. So let's just pop that on there, a little bit of glue. Like that, just a little bit on there. Pop you on. Stick you down. Like that. And then again, we can go on with, stick that down very well. Just go in this little bit with a little bit of Stabilo or a brown or just water paint. Just what I mean, just go in a bit around the edge, just going with it a little bit darker, and then gradually more water as you come out, and then you'll get that dark line in there like that, so it just makes it pop off the page, which is fabulous. A little bit darker up here, a little bit of colour. So just add the colour where you know, where you think it should be. There is, like I said, there's no right or wrong way of doing any of this. I'm going to go in, look, tiny bit of pink. Just in there. So fabulous, look at that. I think they are just gorgeous. Super simple, a little bit wet at the moment, but look, just lovely. And again, I think I might go in just with this little bit of gesso, the colour gesso, and just a little bit. I won't do the other side, can you see? And that gives it another little bit of texture as well, which I might actually use. Just take that off, wipe that off. That's that one. I'm going to pop a little bit on here, just so it looks really, really nice. I've got lots of there, so I need to pop some on some paper before it dries up. A little bit there. So easy way to colour gesso with a little bit of ink on there, a little bit of acrylic ink. Just go in there, and there we go, guys. So a nice one, very similar to last week, but I had quite a few questions about the shadow and how I do it, and can you colour gesso and things like that, and how do you do it. So I hope I've answered a few of them, but they are so simple to make. I'll pop the link down under the video on how to make these papers. But look at that, isn't that lovely? I think these colours are beautiful. Super simple. So this was last week's and this was this week's. So different stamp, obviously. On here, so you can see that little stamp on there, but super simple, super quick. And don't forget, when you do some of your paper clips, have them from the side as well. Obviously I need one from that side, and then this one just pops on the top like that. It's a little bit wet, so I've got to be careful, but I think they are just a beautiful addition to a journal or whatever you would like to use them for, as a little happy mail. So there we go, guys. Thank you so much for joining me. Have a fabulous rest of the day. Take care, stay safe, and I will see you soon. All right, guys, bye bye.